Well, in this Atheist Reads Christian Literature, we're going to do the Properly Placed Priorities by Dr. Chris Hudson. Again, you can get these at Sword of the Lord. Properly Placed Priorities. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. Basically, ignore everything. Don't worry about anything. And this is the sad part about a lot of these religious folks, not just Christians, is they don't really care about the future. They don't really think about the future, how the world's going to be, for their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all down the line. Especially those that believe in the end times. Because after all, the world's going to end. God's going to make everything right. It's God's creation. He's in charge. So they don't care about, the damage they're going to be doing to the future generations. They don't care. That's why I have said plenty of times that social justice warriors and theists are the worst things in this world. And they are. Maybe I should do a whole video on that too. Seriously, they don't care about, I'm talking about theists, they don't care about the future. Because they think any time now, and God's in charge, any time now there, Jesus is going to return and make everything okay. Yes, dandy. That means future generations are not going to have clean water, food, or any of this stuff. They may suffer. Now, a million years from now, all this stuff will be forgotten, and everything should be okay. By then, if the human race is still around, which I don't see how the human race can go extinct, I do believe there will be a huge population correction and probably a second dark ages because of these theists and social justice warriors, but I don't think it's going to be the end of humanity. And after a million years, nobody's going to remember. No one's going to even think about anything that's happening today. No one's going to care. There might be some people who study deep ancient history, because this is what this would be a million years from now to them. Deep ancient history. Lord not only taught that we are to have priorities, but He Himself was a man of priorities. For instance, in John chapter 4, when his disciples went to town to buy meat, He said, before I eat, I must needs go through Samaria. An unsaved woman will be coming to a well there. She has been married 5 times. And is now living with a man who is not her husband. At that particular point in his life, something else came before eating. But when he was dying, before he asked for anything for himself, he asked for others. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. To the thief on the cross, He said, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Of course, if you're Seventh-day Adventist, there's supposed to be a comma after today, to claim that Jesus believed in soul sleep. And of course, if you read it that way, it makes no sense. Oh well, it's okay. He said to John concerning his mother, behold thy mother, and to his mother, woman, behold thy son. From that day she went home with John, and he took care of her. He was a man of priorities who practiced having them, and he also taught priorities. For instance, in this particular text, he said, before you seek first the kingdom of heaven, all these things having reference, I especially believe the food and clothing and the necessities of life shall be added unto you. And how many Christians are dirt poor? How many people pray and pray and pray to their God for financial assistance, for help with their debts and stuff, and they don't get it? They go to work every day, they find all these different ways to make money, try to get a second job and all these things. Of course, then you have some idiot like Meryl Streep has a stupid comment about, what poor people like, however, that's not art and all that crap. I hate to tell you this, Meryl Streep and the rest of you people in Hollywood, if you were to watch this, what you do is not art. Okay? It's not even true acting, because the director gets to yell, cut, when you make up. The person who's on stage, Broadway or any type of stage acting, they don't get that luxury. They better know what they're doing or they're screwed. And they don't make nowhere near the money you get to make. Privilege. You guys are privileged in Hollywood. Football players, basketball players, all those athletes, all privileged. But anyways, let's go back to this. When He sent His disciples out to preach, He also said, go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Romans 1:16 says, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. Somebody first, somebody second. Then before they went out to preach, He said, tarry ye in the city of Jerusalem until He be endued with the power from on high. For instance, by being here today, you are saying there's nothing more important than for you to be in Global Hall at the National Sword Conference. Tomorrow, if you sleep and miss the first 2 services, you will say that by that, as far as you're concerned, it's more important to get an extra hour's sleep than to get to the first service here. If there are afternoon sessions and you go somewhere else or do something else, you say by that what your priorities are. So if you have a job and you must be at work, you're saying that your job and being able to feed your family is more important than listening to some preacher talk nonsense. That's what you're saying. I thought God was going to take care of you. Yeah, right. So I'm not saying to establish your priorities. You have already done it. I am just trying to get you to think about your priorities. That's right. You may wonder why I do what's right. Is because it's a long story. You don't want to hear it. As I drive down the street here in Detroit, Michigan, I see a drunken bum staggering along. He had no bed to sleep in last night. He's asking somebody for a quarter for a cup of coffee. When I see such a man, I know he didn't get his priorities right. He had no guidelines, so he turned out to be a total failure and a bum. You don't really know why that drunk bum on the road is a drunk bum on the road. He may have lost his entire family. Hell, he may have seen his entire family get slaughtered in front of him. You don't know. He could have lost his job. You don't know what could have happened to him. He could have lost everything in his life. And since he's not one of those privileged Hollywood actors making millions of dollars, or some athlete or some singer making millions, he's on the street. And of course he's going to turn to alcohol. You don't know why they're there. You don't know why the prostitute is on the street. You don't know what she went through in her life. Okay? So you have no right to judge them. May I say first that the Lord is not speaking prohibitively of things in this passage. He is not saying it is wrong to have food and clothing. That would be contradicting what he said elsewhere. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. 1 Timothy 5:8. I am to see that my family has food and clothing, but that is not to be my first concern. So basically, you're worse than an infidel. So infidels are pretty bad, is what they're trying to tell you. Take a lady who has a 2-carat diamond on her finger. It looks so beautiful, but let her take the ring that brought her pleasure and put it in her high-heeled shoe and walk back to the hotel room. That diamond ring will bring the same amount on the market, but all of a sudden it brings pain where it once brought pleasure. The difference is the place is occupying. I tell you, football players who have an ambition to play football, it is all right to play football, but that should not be the main thing in their lives. It is all right to play baseball. That should not be the main thing in life. It is all right to have a little fun occasionally, but it should not be the main thing in life. Because you got to put God first. A being you cannot prove to exist. And I know you can't prove he does not exist. But you can prove the unlikelihood because the claims that are in the Bible about him, you can pretty much disprove almost all of it. He supposedly interacts with the world. Well, you can see whether or not that's actually happening, and we don't see it. So the likelihood of him existing is close to zero. God never expected us to look like we were weaned on dill pickle juice and had wild persimmons for breakfast and a face so long it would take $6 to get a shave. Billy Sunday said God must have loved a little humor since he made the monkey the parrot of some of you folks. I read a book recently, Billy Sunday, the Man and His Message. Supposedly Billy Sunday had a habit of also getting so excited he would take off most of his clothes on stage while he was preaching. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. The clear command, but seek ye first the kingdom of God. That word seek means to go after. Don't just say it would be nice to have God as your Lord, to rule your life, to be the king of your life and control your life, but go after it. Seek to let God have absolute rule and control over your life more than anything else. A lot of folks are afraid to do that, afraid to make an absolute surrender for fear that God may ask them to do. What if he asked me to sell my business, become a missionary? Well, that would be the best thing that could happen to you. Suppose he asked me to go out and start a church from scratch. That would be the best thing that could happen to you. You can have nothing better than God's perfect will for your life. People say to me since I resigned Forest Hills Baptist Church, well, I imagine that was the hardest thing you ever did. They expect me to say yes and burst into tears. But the truth is, it wasn't the hardest thing I ever did. The hardest thing was finding what God wanted. It was easy to do it when I knew what he wanted. Somebody said that Dr. Bob Jones senior one time. God wills that some go to heaven and some go to hell. Dr. Bob replied, I'd rather be in hell in God's will than in heaven out of God's will. I like that. The main thing is find out what He wants. Kind of reminds me of, the Spaceball movies, when, the android thing is contacting the hero in the movie, and the hero says, well, what do you want? And then he's like, no, it's not what I want. It's what he wants. And Pizza the Hut. And his righteousness. He said, seek second the righteousness of God in your life. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. We start trying to sing, oh, be like thee. I have sung it many times, not to be singing it, but to be praying it. And I read recently where George Whitefield prayed, Dear Lord, someday I will be like thee, and if I am to be like thee someday, why not now, when I can be a blessing to the most people? Since I read that, I have often thought the same thing. I have often thought like David in the last verse of Psalm 17, when I wake with His likeness, I will be satisfied. I have thought, Lord, I am so unlike you, but someday when I see you, I will be exactly like you, and if I am to be like you, why not now when I can be a blessing to the most people? Would you like to preach one sermon in a glorified body at the National Sword Conference being exactly like Jesus Christ? That would be a thrilling and exciting thing. I have never been satisfied with any sermon I've ever preached. I always go home picking the bones out of it. Well, you preached too long, you hollered, and blah, 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 blah. Seek first to have the rule of God in your life. All these things shall be added unto you. So many preachers are so worried about how much salary they're going to make. Yeah, don't worry about how much you're going to make. God will provide for your family. Yeah. When I went to Forest Hills Baptist Church, I didn't know that I would have any salary. We had 12 members. They didn't have a checking account. They had 2 Louisiana coffee cans. Every time, third and fourth Sunday, they put the offering in one Louisiana coffee can. On the second Sunday, they put the offering in another Louisiana coffee can, and that was mine. I went off to a conference and heard about budgets. I went back and preached on a unified budget, and they poured my coffee can into theirs. First time they emptied it out and gave it to me, it was $3.61. But he was able to pay all of his bills, his rent, feed his family, and all that on $3.61 because God provided. That's what they'll tell you. They don't provide you with the evidence or anything, but they tell you that. The second conflict, number 2, not only the clear command, but notice second, the constant conflict. You don't establish your priorities once for all and forever stay with it. The devil never gives up on you. A prosperity. Maybe I'm speaking to some pastor who has preached some 15 or 20 years and you don't feel like you have as much you ought to have materially. You have been looking at your high school buddies who graduated when you did and they're driving larger cars and have better homes. Yeah, I kind of do that too though. I look at people, same education, I have a degree in molecular biology and biochemistry. I'm not even making half of what people who start at my position are making. But yeah, I do notice that stuff too. But wow, maybe you're thinking, man, I have sacrificed enough. Let somebody else sacrifice a while. After all, my family deserves more than this. I am tired. I am going to make some demands. Do you know what happens? The conflict comes. Party begins to bid for the first place. He begins to badger and say, you need money, you need a house, you need a car. If you are not careful, prosperity will be the first thing on your priority list. That's right. B, popularity, or maybe popularity. And then, of course, we don't need to read the whole thing, but basically, Curtis Hudson doesn't talk about this because he croaked off many years ago, but they'll talk about Joyce Myers and Joel Osteen and all them. They go for popularity. Joel Osteen doesn't even mention God because, he wants the money. That's my opinion, but it's true. And if I was charismatic and I was as outgoing as those guys, those people, I'll be doing the same thing. See, pleasure. Priority bids for first place. Popularity bids for first place. Pleasure bids for first place. 3, the crucial choice. May I say in third place, there's a crucial choice because the choice you make has far-reaching effects. When I left the Sword of the Lord Conference in 1961 after hearing a lecture on Thursday on soul winning, the first decision I made was I will win souls to Christ every week of my life. I went out on Saturday and I led my first 3 souls to Christ. I will never forget. I was so nervous. My mouth was so dry. I was choking when I asked the man, would you like to receive Christ as a Savior? And he said yes. I talked to him out of it. I said, you mean right now? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, your wife and this and that. Yes, I will. I said, I didn't need to go into all that. but I didn't know what else to say or do. I had never done it before. And I asked, now if you don't mean it, I don't want you to do it, but if you really mean it, you know. A few weeks later, I read Romans chapter 12, the first verse. I remember one time I actually had a dream that I was going soul winning, knocked on people's doors, you know, and we're in this house with these people. They really were nervous. They didn't want us there. They kind of want us to leave, but they're too shy to ask. You know, eventually someone came home and said, we got to go somewhere, so, you know, and we ended up leaving. I kind of imagine that's how those families actually do feel when somebody knocks on their door telling them, you're going to burn in hell if you don't believe what we have to tell you. Spiritual over carnal, you know. You know, basically you shouldn't really go to movies, play video games, and, you know, do these things. You know, your spiritual life is more important. First place, choose the spiritual over the carnal. Don't choose things that satisfies the flesh. You know, eternal over temporal. Basically, like I said at the very beginning, you know, when Jesus comes, you're going to go to heaven. Everybody else is going to burn in hell. Why take care of the world? Why plan for the future? You know, and, you know, this is all temporary. That's right. Bye bye.